Hi everyone, Lauren Culp here, the publisher and CEO at CUInsight, and I am joined today by a special guest for another 3 questions video interview, but this time it is a member of the CUInsight team. I'm excited to have John Pettit, our managing editor, joining me today. Hi John, how are you?
Hey Lauren, I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing good. I have to ask, you have a really great background there. I love your office. Where are you?
This is somewhere in New York City. It's the Sanctum Sanctorum from Doctor Strange.
Sure,
Pretty
sure.
much pretty much the coolest office you could have, I think.
Yeah,
So
you're off.
I thought it'd be a good one to have.
It's a great one. Well, cool. Let's go ahead and dive right in. In these video interviews, we're talking all about the coronavirus situation and what folks are doing to help. And so we wanted to give the CUInsight team a chance to do the same. So, John, we know these are obviously really difficult times for a lot of folks. I'm curious, what are you doing in your role as the managing editor at CUInsight to really support the credit union industry?
Yeah, these are definitely been wild times we're in. Nothing like this in my lifetime for sure.
Right.
Um, one of the things I think we do best here at CU Insight is to spread information. So obviously we've continued to do that. There's a lot of COVID related information out there, some of it good, some of it bad, but a lot of it is very encouraging, especially to um, people who have jobs and are now forced to work from home. And that really, that's really all of us are really feeling that right now. So a lot of the stuff we're posting is like adjusting to doing business in different ways, just things that'll be helpful to not only the industry but the members, and really just um, trying to just pump as much COVID-19 information out to the people as we can. We also have our own COVID-19 page, resource page, which is basically just a great place for you to find all kinds of information from industry sources as well as health sources. So anything you could possibly need a link to, we're trying to get as much put on there as we can for as long as we need to have it up, and just doing our best to be a place where people can come and find out about different things, things they're dealing with in their life, and issues they're dealing with right now.
That's awesome. Well, I know you've written some personal finance articles as well on some of the things that people might want to know during this time. For instance,
Right.
working from home and doing that really well.
Yeah.
The
Yeah. It's been strange because I feel like people aren't facing necessarily completely different problems than they've ever had before, but they're just coming at them in a different way. Personal finance obviously is always an issue to keep your finances in shape, but right now it's strange, especially like if you've been laid off from your job. You may not have that paycheck coming in, and even if you have a good emergency fund built up, after some time, it's everybody's going to start to feel it a little bit. So I think it's just finding ways to speak to what people are dealing with in this current climate. And it's definitely, like I said earlier, it's not something people are used to having to have to deal with, and it's strange for sure.
Absolutely. Well, there are so many changes that we see right now in the short term, but I'm curious, sort of thinking ahead, how do you think that this might affect credit unions and the way that we all do business in the long run?
Yeah, I think what the biggest thing that jumps out to me is technology. Obviously in some parts of the country, things are starting to open up a little bit now. A few people who were sent home are now getting to go back to their office. But I think in those early days, especially when we were all kind of locked down, I think the technology was a huge thing. People who had never even considered using mobile banking, all of a sudden they're downloading a mobile app and trying to figure out how that works. And it's obviously people my age and younger probably love that technology, love the convenience from that technology. But the older demographics probably weren't as quick to embrace it. But now this has been a time where, hey, if you don't embrace it, then you're probably not feeling as connected to your credit union as you'd like to. So I know a lot of people have really started to test those waters out and see what that's all about. And I think honestly, once you get used to something like that, once you get used to the convenience and how easy it is to do everything you need to do right from your phone, I think that technology is probably going to be, it's not going anywhere for sure, but I think even with those older demographics, it's here to stay. And I would be hesitant to say like it's the beginning of the end for, you know, brick and mortar and branch banking and stuff, but I definitely think we're gonna see a difference even when people start coming back out and feeling more comfortable. I think for easy things where they don't, you know, you don't really need to run inside your credit union. I think mobile app usage is probably going to shoot through the roof. There are obviously those people who still love, you know, the interpersonal communication you get when you walk inside your branch and see that face you recognize at the teller stand. But it's, you know, I think it's definitely going to, there's probably been a change that we're going to see not go back after this is all over. So I don't know. I guess it remains to be seen. But I really do think just with the ease of use with technology and people kind of being forced to go that way, I think we're going to see a lot more people adopt that as a permanent way of staying in touch with their bank or their credit union.
Such a good point. Yeah, there will be so many changes, and it's hard to predict them all, but I would tend to agree with you. Technology is one that we will definitely see.
Yeah, and you got to think about too, like technology, you know who's been touching your phone, it's you, right? You don't have to worry about picking up a pen to sign something that, you know, somewhere where you're worrying about germs being on it. And not everybody's a germaphobe, but I think this has definitely been one of those situations where everyone's kind of been like, a little more, you know, cautious with the things they're touching and washing their hands and sanitizing and stuff like that. So it's just, it's probably just a lot easier to do and not as many worries, you know, when you're not going into a foreign place and touching things that, you know, you don't know who's been there or what. So.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, let's switch gears a little bit. I'm curious, John, I know we at CUInsight have been working remotely for a few years now, so that's not as big of a change, but there are so many other changes happening in the world. I'm curious, how are you doing personally? What's been keeping you sane, if you are sane, through these pretty hard times?
Well, I tell you what, you know, like honestly, I'm an introvert. I have extroverted tendencies, but for the most part, I really do recharge being alone, and that's where I really feel like super comfortable. So it hasn't been a huge thing off the bat, but I tell you what, over time, it definitely got to be where I was feeling the cabin fever a little bit. And in the, you know, the first probably month of being at home and not seeing anybody, I was probably going a little crazy. And the thing that I think was the best for me is I would jump in the car, put on some good music, and just take a drive through the country and roll my windows down. The weather was starting to change a little bit and get a little bit warmer. And that was, I mean, it was fantastic. I would drive around for like 30, 45 minutes, just, you know, getting fresh air. And it was definitely revived me when I was feeling a little bit cooped up here. But lately here in South Carolina, we've started to open up a little bit more. So it's been good. I haven't really been hanging out with anybody. I have seen the family, you know, we're all still keeping our distance a little bit, seen the family a couple times. And I've had a couple of little social distance hangouts with friends where we just meet in somebody's backyard. Everybody brings a chair and we just kind of sit around, and everybody brings takeout and we hang out together for a little bit. So that's been good too. And then, you know, being at the house, you know, I'm super comfortable just sitting around watching movies or, you know, binge watching something on Netflix or whatever. So that's always, you know, when you can't hang out with people on the weekends, that's, you know, I'm always fine just throwing in a Blu-ray and enjoying myself. So.
Right. Well, all the introverts I know are also kind of going back and forth. Am I all the way an introvert? I still think I need some extrovert time with the alone time.
Well, I think people who are kind of like, there are a lot of people I think who straddle the fence with that. And I think this has been a time where people have really found out, you know, what really kind of controls them, because the people who can't take it being alone and being locked up, I think we've seen them just like express frustration, whether it's on Twitter or social media or whatever. So, but for me, like I said, it's been okay for the most part. I definitely do miss seeing faces though. So.
Right. Well, in that vein, we will go ahead and wrap it up. Hopefully we'll get to see some more faces in person someday soon.
Yeah, I hope so.
I love that. John, thank you so much. It's so great to hear more and share more with our audience about all of the great work that you do as the managing editor here at CUInsight. I'm looking forward to that day that we are all in person, maybe at a conference. We'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Until then,
To be determined, but yeah, it's gonna be a good day when it happens, though, for sure.
Exactly. Yes. Well, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Again, John Pettit, Managing Editor, CUInsight. Thanks so much, John, and I will see you very shortly. Take care.
Yeah, sounds good. Bye.
Bye.